Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Cilinix Crypto. Hope you're all doing great, and welcome to this new video right here on Ethereum. Wanted to do a full update. Has been relatively strong over the course of this night. Gotta move into the yearly rolling VWAP. As you can see, after breaking above the value area high right here at 2600, we already spoke about that yesterday. Good breakout. However, I must say, and then we'll still talk about that a little bit more in the video, of course. But I must say that it's a bit strange, right? It's very different, this breakout here, from the last time we started rallying, where you saw an obvious increase in volume. Now in the defense of this breakout, and in general, just to cut to the chase, I also think this is a real breakout, and I do expect us to rally higher. However, like if you compare this to the last time we had balance, right here, and we broke out with volume that was significantly higher than the volume we saw before. And if you take a look at Ethereum right now, what you can see is that we were nicely balanced right here. But at times during that balance, the volume actually already was higher as well, right? The volume just over the course of Thursday with that breakout was as high as the volume when we were just moving within the balance. Now, is that necessarily a problem? No, not necessarily. But then if you combine that with the fact that we're at resistance right now, and just in general that the momentum across the markets, in my opinion, this morning was relatively low and still is relatively low. The volume is quite low. There's not a lot of leverage coming in. I would say, tread carefully, right? Because ultimately we have broken out. We had a very defined balance right here between 2600 and 2460. We broke out of that with pretty high volume, right? I mean, this volume, the volume we had over the course of Thursday, the Asian and the European session, that volume was actually relatively high compared to the volume in the last week. And then we had a couple of times, of course, on Sunday, but then also on Wednesday when Bitcoin was reaching all-time highs, that the volume was quite high, right? So that also distorts the image. The volume was quite high. The volume was high enough for me to say this is a real breakout. So that we do have. But then we also have the resistance here at the yearly rolling VWAP, and we're losing some momentum right here. All right, so therefore, look, I think on the higher time frames we still have room to rally up higher, and I've said this, I've talked about this opportunity, this possibility much longer, and we can get a move into 2800 and 2850. Who knows? Maybe we can even break above that. Is a possibility. Regardless of all these imbalances to the downside, which eventually will get filled, but they don't necessarily have to get filled right now. So that is certainly a possibility, and that's also what I expect. However, and this is quite in line with what I said in other videos as well, a lot of these major altcoins actually look quite similar right now. I do think you need to be aware. Look, what I would say is most likely is this, stability, continuation. But what I think you need to be aware of, especially given the fact, adding upon the things we've already said, that we're entering the end of the week, that we're entering the end of May. I would say, be prepared for a move back down into the range to really test the conviction of this breakout, right? So what that would look like, just to delete that, what that would look like is something like this, right? So that we drop down below the 7-day rolling VWAP or into the 7-day rolling VWAP, into that point of control area, which is right here around 2500. And that we see a strong reaction from there, because I do think this is a real breakout, right? So I do think the conviction is there. So if we drop down into that level, I expect a good reaction. But something like that is a possibility, right? So if you're thinking about longing Ethereum somewhere, just know that spike down, like that's a very important level. And that's also a level that has to hold, right? So putting your stop loss below that is good invalidation, I'd say. But something like that is what I would say is most likely for Ethereum. I'll definitely keep you updated on that though, so keep your eyes on the channel if you're interested in that. But for now, thank you for watching, take care, and bye.